Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, as promised, I'm going to do a review of my Pentax 6x7 medium format SLR film camera. I've had this since about 1989. I bought it from a friend back then who I worked with for about $650 to be precise. So that was the going rate then for this second-hand camera back then. And I've had it for a long time. I've used it sparingly. I've got lenses that fit on it that also has an adapter that will go onto a Pentax 645 system too. And I recently had a Pentax 645 system that I sold. I had that for many years. So anyway, I'll talk some more about that in a minute. I'll show you the camera first. I call this the elephant gun of cameras. It's very heavy and solid metal, I think it is anyway. This has got the famous, well, some people think this is a marvellous lens, and I've got no reason to say no to that. This is a it's a super multi-coated Takuma 105 f2.4 lens. So there you go, you can have a look at the front of that, that'll tell you what it is. And looking through this the other day, I took a couple of photos in the backyard the other day with this. I've got some film in it, and the bokeh, or whatever you like to call it, is fantastic looking through that lens. Of course, these lenses, you can get adapters to put them on your ordinary Pentax digital SLRs or Pentax 35mm film cameras as well. And this will also fit on to the Pentax 645 system with an adapter like that. If I put that on here, and then I can put this lens onto my Pentax 645. I'm thinking of buying another one, even though I sold the previous one, so that's why I've hung on to this. So that's the adapter you can use, and you can go all the way back and put these lenses on ordinary 35mm cameras with 35mm type, both digital and film cameras, with adapters that will take these lenses plus the 645 lenses. So it's got a 6x7 centimetre negative, which gives you beautiful enlargements. I'm going to do a blog post on some of the shots that I took some years ago using this camera, and I'll link this video back to that blog post, where you'll probably get this video as well as be able to look at the shots that I took way back over in Victoria, actually at Sovereign Hill, which is in Ballarat in Victoria, which is a goldfields area, and it's a museum. It's a fantastic place to go. So there you go. That's the 105 lens. To take the lens off, there's a little lever just here, and you press that in, and then it just comes off bayonet mount like it normally does. You can see it's quite a big gaping hole there, and it's a big lens. I also have to go with this camera this one here, which is a, hang on, I'll just take this off. This is a telephoto lens, and that's quite a big hefty lens as well. That's an f4, I think it's a 200mm lens. I saw this in a shop some years ago, and yeah, it's an f200 200mm telephoto lens. And once again, this can be adapted onto all the other Pentax cameras and formats as well, using adapters. And that's a beautiful lens, and I have shot this lens on my Pentax 645 when I had it. Now I've got some focus there. It's yeah, but that is a fantastic lens. So what else can I tell you about this? It's got a locking button here. That's not in lock at the moment. If you can see that there, we just shift that way, and then that's in lock. So you can't take a photo, push it back like that. There you go. Also, we have shutter speeds ranging from B excuse me, B up to 1/1000th of a second, and also an X section for your flash photography, and the thing is, the only problem with this camera is that the flash sync speed is a 30th of a second, which is a bit limiting. There's a button back here which you press to check if the battery's working. Should see that light come on there. And the battery goes underneath here, which is just under there, that little thing there. We clip that out, and there's the battery there. It's a 6-volt battery. You can still readily get those batteries. So the camera won't work without the battery in it. This one doesn't have a meter. You can get a meter for them, but quite frankly, if you're using this sort of camera, you don't need to have a built-in meter. So there you go. It's a big camera. I can just see if you can hear this, the shutter go off. I'll fire the shutter so you can hear how clunky it is. I've got about 1, maybe 2 shots left on this roll. It takes 10 shots to the roll of 120 film. You can got a plate that slides across where you can put 220 film in it, but that's pretty hard to get these days. And you'd get 20 shots if you had 220 film in it, 10 shots with 120 film. So just listen to this shutter go off. Quite noisy, isn't it? We'll wind it on again. It's one wind on like that. It's ready to go. And we'll take another one like this. Just listen for the sound again. It's quite clunky. Some of the later models have a mirror lock-up of this camera because, you know, the theory is that it's got such a clunking movement in such a heavy camera that if you want to take time exposures and good landscape photography, you've got to at least have it on a tripod and maybe use the mirror lockup. But I don't think that's necessary. I've taken shots with this camera handheld. It's very heavy. Now the other thing that a lot of people, you'll see reviews, and you can get a wooden handle that fits on the left hand side here, made by Pentax. It's a nice looking piece of wood with a little hot shoe type thing for the flash on the top there. But all the people I've been watching, they say they complain that it's on the left hand side. And they say, how can you focus your camera? Well, I think I always focus my camera. It doesn't really matter to me. Anyway, they're quite expensive, those wooden handles, but I found something that's just as good. I don't know where I got this from. That there does exactly the same job as what the Pentax wooden handle thing does. I don't know whether this has got a brand name on it or anything. It's made in Japan, DL-1R it's called, so maybe you could look that up. It's made by Stitz, S-T-I-T-Z, I think. I think that's what it is. Just show you on there. See that? And it's got a spot where you can hook your flash on. So that's okay. So that's got a big solid base plate underneath there, and you've got a grip here for your thumb to go around there. See that? My thumb sits in that slot there. Oh, hang on, that's the right hand side. Wait a minute, we want to look at the left hand side, don't we? So there you go. The thumb fits up in there, and that gives you plenty of grip to hold your camera with. So I can't see what all the fuss is about. So I could be holding that like that and focusing like that. And some people say they can't stand why they didn't have one on the right hand side, but to me it doesn't make much difference. If you're using a like I used to use with my Pentax 645, the big hammerhead Metz 45 flash, you could actually fit that on this, and that is still the same sort of handle that's going to keep you satisfied holding the camera. It's quite a heavy camera. So that's a little bit about that. What else can I tell you? There's no other bells and whistles that go with this. You can't fire this without a film in it, although there is a trick to doing that, which if you look up some of the other videos about the 6x7 camera, they'll show you how to do that. You can actually check with the shutters working or not. So the other thing is we've got a film in this, and I'll try and take the film out. I think it's just winding on now. So that was the last shot I took, those last two. Now it's sort of winding on. Now I can just feel it's all gone slack now. So that means I can take the film out. I'll take this handle off so I can get the film out. Okay, so there's a little lever down the bottom here. Press that. Haven't used this for a while, it should open. There we go. So you can see that the film is on the other side there. Now the idea is you just take that out. I think this swings out somehow. Or does it? I haven't used this for such a long time. Welcome back. Well, that was pretty stupid of me. Of course, I haven't used this for such a long time. There's a little lever down the bottom here, and you just pull that. That comes out, and then the film just drops out like that. So I'll just put that down for a minute. So there's your 120 film. This looks like it was Portra 400. Kodak Portra 400 film in this. There you go. And then the idea is you just peel this out, wind that back in there, and I've got that wound fairly tight. And it's a matter of just licking, and there we go. That's sealed from light now, and we can send that in to get processed. So dare I show you how to load another film into it? That would be tricky, wouldn't it? Fuji Pro 400 colour film, 120. Get this out. Here we go, that's your 120 film. So this is unexposed. The idea with these cameras is that, oops, get this open again. The actual spool that the film was just wound on from, you actually take this one out and put it over the other side and then wind the new film onto it. So we'll just see if we can, and once again it's got the lever on the other side here to take the film out. So we just lift that, we take that out with a bit of luck. You wouldn't want to be trying to do a wedding with these and get these things in and out quickly. You need to have a few assistants, and that's why I used it on a wedding once, briefly, but what am I doing now here? Now we got it. But yeah, I used it briefly on a wedding once, but I found that this thing was not good for weddings. It was too heavy and too awkward to change and all that sort of stuff. So we slide that in there, put that back in. Now, so we've got that spool, we took that from the other side and we put it over there now, using those levers at the bottom to make the space. So then we now get this film, this one here, we just peel that back. There may be people watching this who've never used 120 film, medium format film, so we peel that back. And then the idea is that that's going to go in that side there and pull across to the other side there. So let's just have a go. So you might be able to see that. Okay, hopefully this camera won't fall off the table. So we just pull this back up out here, put that in there, snap that back in, and we take this other end, don't know whether you can see that there, we just slot this in the other end here, in through this little hole there. Just wind it on a little bit till it gets some tension. And we just wind that on. I hope you can see that. We just wind that on until we get, you can see this start arrow coming up, and there's a red dot just about there, and that's where we'll stop it, and then we will shut it. Actually, we need to lock that, shut it, and then we wind it on until it stops. Now it's stopped, so it's quite a few winds before it actually stops. So now it's ready to shoot the first shot. So we've just loaded that in there. Usually I don't have these many stops in my videos. I try and do them without editing, so I'm going to test my editing skills this one afterwards. Anyway, you can see I've wound that film on, and it's showing 0 here on the counter. So that's cocked and ready to go. So what we'll do, we'll shoot the first shot, just for the sake of it. Hear that clunk again. And now we will wind it on again. In fact, I think we probably fired a shot then anyway. So we're now on shot number 2, so that was a wasted photo. So anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm relearning the camera. I should take it out and start shooting it again. One of the things I picked up from listening to one of the other commentators who've done a few reviews of this camera is that they reckon that these lenses, or the one on the other one, the 105 lens, is radioactive. Not radioactive enough to hurt you or anything. In fact, one guy said it was about as radioactive, less radioactive than coming out of a banana. However, he said it does give a bit of an orange tint to the shots, and the way to fix it he was talking about was putting it in the sun and letting the sun shine on it for a while. I noticed in these samples that I've going to show on my blog, when I put that on my blog post so you can have a look at these shots I took years ago, they do have a bit of an orange tinge to them, and looking through that lens, the 105 lens before, it looked a bit orange just looking in here. So I'm wondering if that's part of that that process, that radioactive thing that you get on some of these old lenses. So I'll have a look at that and see. I'm sure you can fix that digitally afterwards anyway if you had an orange glow in the photo. But you get beautiful detail in these photos. The shots I'm going to show on my blog just scanned off of prints. I haven't scanned them off the negatives. I've got the negatives here somewhere, but I'm not sure where they are. But you can do beautiful big enlargements using these. Whoops. You do beautiful big enlargements using this camera. This is in the series that I took years ago at Ballarat at Sovereign Hill. So you'll see some photos similar to that, and that's quite a big enlargement there that I've done. And when you look at it, I'm just trying to get rid of the reflections, but the detail you get in these shots is terrific in some of those. So this was sitting up on my dad's wall for some years. I gave it to him years ago. So there you go. That's a bit about the Pentax 6x7. So I hope that's been interesting. Hopefully I'll be able to stitch it all together. And I look forward to seeing you next time. So if you want to like it, like it. I don't know, it's been a bit muddly today, so maybe you don't like this one. And subscribe if you wish. So I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for watching. See ya.